happened? What has transpired?
There's a handful of teams that potentially can compete for a Super Bowl championship.
Confusion and uncertainty this year more than some in the past.
This team looks like it's ready to make a move, but we just don't know if it's bad or good this year.
J.J. McCarthy is eventually going to take over, but it's a no-lose situation for them.
I mean, they suck. They were 7-10.
Only on SportsGrid.
Hopefully they learned their lesson. Hey, this ain't the NBA, bro. You don't have 6 fouls, and they will check you on this stuff. And Brooks has a reputation coming into this. You can tell the refs are watching them, and they were on him all the time.
This was 10, 12 years ago. Canada playing Greece with that type of lead that they had. They probably would have mentally crumbled and lost that game to Greece by 3 or 4 points in the final minute of that ball game.
Sports Rage Late Night. Only on SportsGrid.
Say the under has the correct juice to the 6.5 win total for the New York Giants. It's a losing season. It's a bad season in the greater New York area. Is Brian Daboll and is Joe Shane back next year?
As a Giants fan, what are you looking forward to? Absolutely nothing. You're hoping like the Yankees make a long enough run so you can forget about the Giants.
The Early Line. Only on SportsGrid.
The bottom of this field is a bunch of guys, quite frankly, that aren't on the tour, aren't on the DP tour, aren't on the Korn Ferry tour.
You know, the top 25 or so in this field, I mean, you've got Rory, you've got Lowry, you've got Scheffler, you know, all 4 Americans, Minwoo Lee and Jason Day. And you go to Mito Pereira and Joaquin Neiman out of Chile. So, you know, it really is pretty deep.
In-game live, prime time, only on...
And welcome and a very happy Friday to you. It is Game Time Decisions here on the SportsGrid Network. I'm Joe Raineri. Certainly hope it has been a fun and profitable week for you. If not, we've got plenty of action across the slate here tonight to take a look at, including 16 Major League Baseball games, actually 15 now. We had a huge doubleheader today between the Central leading Guardians and the team that's trailing them, trying to catch them, and that would be the Minnesota Twins. Game 1 is already in the books, by the way. Twins, a 4-2 winner. That is now 6 straight losses for the Guardians. Not going well. They do have one other game to play here in this day-night doubleheader. We'll talk about that coming up, but a lot of one rain out also, we should mention, the Yankees have been rained out as Hurricane Debbie or Tropical Storm seems to make its way up the East Coast right now, wreaking havoc across the board. So there will not be that game going on, which I guess, quick math, that would make it 14 games remaining here tonight on the slate. We're going to have plenty more on Major League Baseball coming up. And do I need to remind everyone, it is August the 9th. You know what that means? It means we got football, people. It is the preseason. Football is back. Week 1 coming your way. We got a little taste last night. Although if you want to call that football last night, we had New England, a 17-3 winner over Carolina. It resembled a little bit of football, at least from New England's side. Carolina, my goodness. Who knew Jack Plummer was the quarterback? For the entire game, pretty much. The Giants in Detroit also went at it, and amazingly, they didn't get into a fight. That's kind of shocking. $200,000 in penalties will cause you maybe to keep the hands down a little bit, but they ended up getting the game going last night. Tommy DeVito off the bench, getting it going there, as Drew Lock, by the way, is going to miss a little bit of time here, so much for the backup quarterback competition going on. Tommy DeVito, by default, will continue to see plenty of snaps, as it appears, a couple of weeks now for Drew Lock with an oblique injury there. Got knocked out in the first half. But tonight, we've got plenty going on here, as we'll get a chance to see that The Atlanta Falcons and the Miami Dolphins. This is a game I like a lot coming up at the top of next hour. I like it a lot to bet because I do think this game sets up pretty well for an over. We'll talk about this game coming up during the hour. But the Falcons, get ready for the Michael Penix Jr. error? No? Maybe? Well, Kirk Cousins ain't playing. So this is going to be the Taylor Heineke, Michael Penix Jr. backup show. And for Miami, we'll get a chance to see Mike White and Sky. No, wait a minute. We've seen both of those guys over the last couple of years. So this should be an interesting game here tonight. And so should, and take a snapshot of this one, the Baltimore Ravens in a preseason game as a dog at home. Never thought I'd say that, at least not in this era. But that's exactly what we've got here as the Ravens are catching points at home. And you can see Harbaugh 40-18 against the number in the preseason. And they're a dog. Interesting stuff in that one. And, of course, we will have game number 2 for the Houston Texans. They were part of that Hall of Fame game that lasted 2.5 quarters. And, of course, got everyone their tickets punched back as a push because they didn't play enough minutes in that game for it to count. But Pittsburgh and Houston, another interesting one also. Plenty more games coming up tomorrow, this weekend, as week 1 of the NFL preseason is on the way. Cannot believe football is here. In other news, how about the Olympics? Anybody catch the Olympics here? How about the gold medal men's soccer game that just finished up here? And Spain gets it done, takes home the gold in men's soccer at the Paris Olympics there, and a 5-3 extra time win over France, the host nation. I mean, 2 of the best, and I mean the best, soccer countries in the world. And what a game this was. In fact, it came right down to it. Again, Spain just a little bit better when it mattered the most. At the end, they get another gold medal. And, of course, France, unfortunately, trying to figure out where it all went wrong, still collects another medal, and that would be the silver. In a medal count right now, as you take a look, as USA continues to dominate the top of the board here, 111 total medals. China gets another gold, which evens them up with us, 33 apiece. But far and away, this has been a dominating effort by Team USA in this year's Olympic Games. And, of course, let's not forget, we still got a couple of more events coming up that could very well mean gold to the United States team. Let's not forget, we got the U.S. women's national team coming up with a possibility of winning gold in soccer. We have the women's team in basketball coming up with an opportunity to win gold here. And USA, as you can see, a big favorite over Brazil. And again, USA, a huge favorite over France. 16 now for the men's team. This was a men's team, by the way, that had to play the final 6 minutes with their hair on fire because they were trailing by as many as 17 in that game yesterday. Unbelievable against Serbia. But LeBron James, Steph Curry, the old guard was not to be undone by the Joker and Serbia. They end up getting it done. And again, another spot where, guess who? France is going to have an opportunity to host nation, but they're going to have to get through that guy right there. We were all waiting for that Steph Curry game. And there was a lot of talk, remember, early on in the Olympics going, listen, Steph is just terrible. He's not able to hit threes. He was not good at all. He was a bit of a liability out on the court. Well, the reason you keep playing him is for spots just like last night. When they needed him the most, he came through. Nothing you could say. Can we all put to bed the idea that the Joker is not the best NBA player in the world right now? I mean, really? The effort yesterday by this guy, surrounded by a bunch of G League players at best, was just unbelievable. The guy is an unbelievable force. And listen, for all the greatness that the NBA has, I'm sorry, this guy is a one-man wrecking machine, the likes we have not seen. I mean, there are great generational players and talent in the NBA. But this guy is going to go down. We're going to look back at the Joker as one guy just for his size, his position, what he does, and how he can dominate all facets of the game and make everyone around him better, which is truly a sign of the greats, the true greats in the history of the game. Man, the Joker is, and maybe the best is yet to come here. That's maybe the scariest part about what he brings to the table. But he'll have an opportunity for a bronze medal. They're going to have to muster up enough energy to take on Germany and get that done. We'll have much more on the final games coming up here in basketball, both women and men there, including a possibility. Is there a way to bet any of these final games coming up, these gold, silver, and bronze matchups coming up in men and women's basketball? I think we might figure out a way or two. Gilbert McGregor is going to join us a little bit later this hour from the Sporting News. I'm sure he'll have some thoughts on how to approach this. In the meantime, we got to get ready for plenty of Major League Baseball coming up this hour. In fact, we'll have a few games, first pitch coming up. Adam Kaufman will drop by. We'll talk some MLB with him. And, of course, we got to get you ready for the top of the hour as the NFL preseason week 1 already underway. 3 more games tonight. 7 o'clock Eastern is the kickoff, and we have got you covered as Game Time Decisions just getting started here on the grid. Come back and join us.
Hopefully they learned their lesson. Hey, this ain't the NBA, bro. You don't have 6 fouls, and they will check you on this stuff. And Brooks has a reputation coming into this. You can tell the refs are watching them, and they were on him all the time.
This was 10, 12 years ago. Canada playing Greece with that type of lead that they had. They probably would have mentally crumbled and lost that game to Greece by 3 or 4 points in the final minute of that ball game.
Sports Rage Late Night, only on SportsGrid.
What is the ceiling for this kid? Now that he's got the money, and we saw something click with him, what is the ceiling for a Jordan Love in this Green Bay team?
Deepest pass target group in the National Football League. 2 stud tight ends. They're legit 5 deep at receivers. 7 bona fide pass targets deal. Come on, man. This guy could be a stud. Top 5 quarterback.
Game Time Decisions, only on SportsGrid.
Say the under has the correct juice to the 6.5 win total for the New York Giants. It's a losing season. It's a bad season in the greater New York area. Is Brian Daboll and is Joe Shane back next year?
As a Giants fan, what are you looking forward to? Absolutely nothing. You're hoping like the Yankees make a long enough run so you can forget about the Giants.
The early line, only on SportsGrid.
If the U.S. gets to a bad start and they're down or close, I may double down on the second quarter because I know that that's when Steve Kerr is going to want to either A, if it's close, open it up. If they're losing, you got to get the lead because you don't want teams like it was in South Sudan that believe that they can win.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back in. It is Game Time Decisions. It is a Friday, and we are stoked here as we have football back. That's right, the NFL preseason. We got a couple of games getting ready to roll on here coming up at the top of the hour. We got a little taste last night, and some of it resembled football. And then the Panthers played, and we can't really figure out what that is. Maybe Adam Kaufman can shed some light on what the hell that was Carolina was playing. I thought maybe it was a new Olympic game. Kaufman, I had no idea, but football, it did not resemble to me. But
no.
I guess we have to, everyone's got to take a deep breath here. There's going to be a lot of mixing and matching. This isn't, the preseason of years past. Less games, a lot more practices during the week, joint practices. So it doesn't mean we don't have a shortage of storylines. Here. A lot of battles going on here. I can't wait to see Penix tonight, for instance. I can't wait to see what happens in Pittsburgh. I mean, so the preseason, it may not be the big names, but there's a lot at stake for a lot of these guys coming up over the next few weeks.
Well, look, when it came to the Panthers-Patriots game, even seeing a total that was in the low 30s, which even for preseason is a little bit low. I mean, typically these games are in the 30s, but usually it's mid to high 30s. You see a game in the low 30s, and sure, I mean, there's a temptation to look at it and say, do we go under? Do we treat this like Iowa football? I think that was a sign of things to come, though, when it comes to at least the Patriots in this coming season. I mean, we knew that at least on the Panthers, and the Panthers are not a good team. They may very well be one of, if not the worst in football all over again. But we knew that many of the key proponents or factors of that offense, Bryce Young and company, they weren't going to be out there. And it was going to be the Jake Plummer show for at least a half, and only even a couple of guys that were available for them. It was going to be ugly. So the under was the play. No matter how low that number was, the under was the play. And there were like 7 points entering the fourth quarter, 10 points entering the fourth quarter, something like that. So I do think, though, if there is a lesson to take here, and this is what it's all about, right? I mean, you don't want to go crazy and to the ultimate levels of degeneracy betting on preseason football, but we are trying to learn a thing or two along the way. And I think when it comes to the Patriots, who again were on the winning side of that thing and covered the spread, might be the only game all year they're favored in, go under. No matter what the total is over the course of the year, you got to go under, because that largely, and not for the duration of the game, obviously, but in terms of who was out there starting the game, that largely was the Patriots team. Jacoby Brissett, he only played a couple series, but he started in that one. And, you had the guy like Pop Douglas and the guys they drafted, obviously, in the second and third rounds, the wide receivers, the rookies. Ramondre Stevenson was out there. There was no Hunter Henry, but for the most part, I think that was fairly indicative of what Patriots games are going to look like. Low scoring, keep them tight. Maybe they win a few along the way, but the defense is for real. The offense is kind of non-existent, and that was what we had to look at going into that one. But like you said, it was an ugly football game. We get a few more that might be just a hair more exciting tonight.
I got to tell you, you're a Boston guy, right? So I'm watching this game last night on In-Game Live, and I'm looking and I'm watching and I'm going, where is Belichick? Am I missing? It just felt so. It was the first time since January 2nd of 2000 the Patriots played a game without Belichick on the sideline. Did it feel weird for Patriot fans too? I mean, are we thinking like he's just going to pop out of the tunnel here and save this team? I mean, it's got to be a rough transition happening here, no?
Well, it's a weird transition, but I think it probably felt a little more strange for people like you who are outside of New England than it did for all of us out here that are on a daily basis talking about this transition and have been dissecting every angle of the Belichick departure and the feud with Kraft, or at least the believed feud between them, and Mayo taking over, and watching mini camps and into training camp and all of it. We have been ready for this. And you have to remember, there are also a lot of people that were kind of ready for Bill Belichick to go, it wasn't a question of whether Bill Belichick could still coach, and I still believe he can and should get an opportunity elsewhere. I'm sort of floored that he's not in the NFL somewhere right now, outside of talking about it with a million different outlets, obviously. But when it comes to general manager Bill Belichick, he really did himself and the team in a lot in recent years, between bad contracts, poor signings, talent evaluations, coaching decisions in terms of his staff, the draft, obviously. It's been a mess for even since before Brady left in 2020, quite frankly. So this was a long time coming. People expected it. And so seeing Mayo and no Belichick on the sidelines, we've been ready for it. I think it's been a little more strange for outsiders who haven't been paying, a whole lot of attention to the Patriots, certainly not watching anything Patriots until this first preseason game, this first opportunity, and then looked at it and said, wow, where's Bill? Like, I think it felt a little more odd, for lack of a better way of putting it, when Cam Newton was out there and Tom Brady wasn't, because obviously the guys on the field, you're used to seeing that. Belichick, you get a lot of shots on the sidelines, but it's not the same thing as watching a guy out there for every single snap of every offensive series.
38-year-old first-time head coach Jared Mayo. Listen, it's learned by fire here. It'll be interesting to see how much of a leash they give him. And what kind of decisions he makes moving forward. On the other side, we'll talk more about it. But is there a leash on Dable here, do you think? Are they willing to give him and sacrifice another year here? Because if it gets worse and Danny Dimes go down and we're back to Tommy DeVito, I don't know what we're doing here, Coppin, in New York. I think he's got to go. They'll want him gone, no?
Well, I don't think, not that this should necessarily be the ultimate evaluator, I don't think he really impressed in Hard Knocks clips that have circulated on the web in terms of like interviewing, prospective quarterbacks and whether or not they were going to draft one. Instead, obviously, it's Malik Neighbors, and they've really committed themselves to Daniel Jones, like you said. And if he's unavailable or limited in any way over the course of the year, and it's all of a sudden, Tommy DeVito again, that's a problem for everybody.
Don't forget, Tyrod's in the other side of the building now. More Game Time Decisions coming up here on the grid.
Hopefully they learned their lesson. Hey, this ain't the NBA, bro. You don't have 6 fouls. And they will check you on this stuff. And Brooks has a reputation coming into this. You can tell the refs are watching them, and they were on him all the time.
This was 10, 12 years ago. Canada playing Greece with that type of lead that they had. They probably would have mentally crumbled and lost that game to Greece by 3 or 4 points in the final minute of that ball game.
Sports Rage Late Night, only on SportsGrid.
What is the ceiling for this kid? Now that he's got the money, and we saw something click with him, what is the ceiling for a Jordan Love in this Green Bay team?
Deepest pass target group in the National Football League. 2 stud tight ends. They're a legit 5 deep at receiver. 7 bona fide pass targets. Come on, man. This guy could be a stud. Top 5 quarterback.
Game Time Decisions, only on SportsGrid.
Say the under has the correct juice to the 6.5 win total for the New York Giants. It's a losing season. It's a bad season in the greater New York area. Is Brian Daboll and is Joe Shane back next year?
As a Giants fan, what are you looking forward to? Absolutely nothing. You're hoping like the Yankees make a long enough run so you can forget about the Giants.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
If the U.S. gets to a bad start and they're down or close, I may double down on the second quarter because I know that that's when Steve Kerr is going to want to either A, if it's close, open it up. If they're losing, you got to get the lead because you don't want teams like it was in South Sudan to believe that they can win.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back in here. Game Time Decisions on the Sports Grid Network on this Friday. NFL preseason week 1 underway. A couple of games here tonight. Adam Kaufman, let me ask you, I like the over in this Miami and Falcons game. I love the experience at quarterback for both teams. There's some wide receiver questions on Miami, and you know how Daniels is going to do it. I don't mind Mike White and Skylar Thompson. They understand the system. I feel like there's going to be some offense in this game, and between Heineke and Penix Jr., wouldn't shock me if we get over 38.5 in this one.
No, I think that's reasonable, obviously. Like you said, you outline the names that are going to be out there. It's a decent amount of talent. I just wonder, I'm always watching these games sort of a little hesitant to look at full game stuff unless I've got a real read of who's going to be out there in the second half, because I feel like things really take a step backward in the second halves of these games. Now, looking at last night, I was woefully proven wrong because I had the over in that Giants game and had 17 points at halftime, and then they were basically done scoring at that point. So, but generally, when you start to get the guys out there in the second half, and no disrespect intended, but the guys that, you know, are largely not going to be in the league come this year, might not even be in organized football at all, you know, could be off working wherever, not even the CFL, Arena League, XFL, whatever, you know, but whatever's still around there. That's when things just get sloppy. You get more offense, you get worse defense. And so that, you know, jacks up the totals a little bit. You start to look at these games and score 40 plus. So based on, you know, kind of personnel, and like you said, if you get enough of the sort of the names and you feel like they're going to be out there for multiple series, and you might get a little bit of a head start in that opening half, that makes me feel better about a full game total. But it's hard. These games are tough to bet when it comes to totals, because you just don't, unless you have a complete absence of talent like you had in the Patriots-Panthers game, like we talked about, where the under just felt obvious. A lot of these spots are a little bit trickier to navigate in the first preseason game. I haven't made too many bets as of yet on NFL preseason tonight. Again, the 3 games, the one I just feel like it's an auto fire, especially at plus money, is, you know, how in the world do you bet against the Ravens in preseason?
Correct.
You know, we know obviously what they have done under Harbaugh, and, you know, I've seen some people want to take the Eagles, and I don't know if that's because they're favored or if that's just because they, you know, feel like a team is due to beat Baltimore, even though it did happen once last preseason, or if they view it as, you know, they're just a better team. I don't know. When I see a plus 115 out there on Baltimore money line in the preseason, you just got to auto fire. Not a big investment, but you got to put something on it, just figuring that Baltimore is going to continue what it's doing. I mean, I don't have the record offhand, but it is an absurd success rate under Harbaugh under these last several years. When playing this time of year, obviously.
Yeah. No, we had the record. It was 48 and 8. It was some obnoxious number. It was a number that no matter what you do, you see plus money next to the Ravens in preseason. You bet it. That's it. You know, prove me wrong.
40-18, it sounds like.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Just let me know. I'm good to go there. Let me get your thoughts quick on some of these baseball games coming up, including your Red Sox of Houston, which I find to be a fascinating game here tonight in this series coming up this week. And 2 teams very much in the hunt here. How going up against Blanco? How you approaching this one at Fenway?
So I have a small play on the Red Sox money line. They're playing well. But if I'm making a larger play on this game, I would expect scoring. And I know that sounds weird with Houck and Blanco, as you mentioned, 2 guys that both have ERAs right at about 3. They pitch well this year. But, you know, trends are your friends until they're not, right? And I look at this Red Sox team that can hit and can't pitch terribly well. Even if Houck does do well over, you know, 5-6 innings, then the bullpen comes in, and this bullpen is woefully unreliable. And with a total, it is a little high. You know, I think it's sitting at 10 right now. I bet the over when it was 9.5. So you're climbing just a little bit more. But the Red Sox, in terms of full game overs, have hit, I want to say 13 out of the last 14 games, or 12 out of the last 13. The point is, there's offense. There's loads and loads of offense when the Red Sox are involved on both sides of the ball. And so that's where I would invest. I'd go over in that game.
The number 1 home run hitting team over the last 30 days, the Boston Red Sox. They are crushing the ball. 41 home runs, an American League high, 41 home runs over the last 30 days. I don't see that stopping here tonight. I'm with you. Give me the over here and runs. Adam, we appreciate the time as always, my man. Enjoy the games here tonight. Game Time Decisions will be back after this here on the grid.
Hopefully they learned their lesson. Hey, this ain't the NBA, bro. You don't have 6 fouls, and they will check you on this stuff. And Brooks has a reputation coming into this. You can tell the refs are watching them, and they were on him all the time.
This was 10, 12 years ago. Canada playing Greece with that type of lead that they had. They probably would have mentally crumbled and lost that game to Greece by 3 or 4 points in the final minute of that ball game.
Sports Rage Late Night, only on SportsGrid.
What is the ceiling for this kid? Now that he's got the money, and we saw something click with him, what is the ceiling for Jordan Love in this Green Bay team?
Deepest pass target group in the National Football League. 2 stud tight ends. They're a legit 5 deep receivers. 7 bona fide pass targets deal. Come on, man. This guy could be a stud. Top 5 quarterback.
Game Time Decisions, only on SportsGrid.
Say the under has the correct juice to the 6.5 win total for the New York Giants. It's a losing season. It's a bad season in the greater New York area. Is Brian Daboll and is Joe Shane back next year?
As a Giants fan, what are you looking forward to? Absolutely nothing. You're hoping like the Yankees make a long enough run so you can forget about the Giants.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
If the U.S. gets to a bad start and they're down or close, I may double down on the second quarter because I know that that's when Steve Kerr is going to want to either A, if it's close, like, open it up. If they're losing, you got to get the lead because you don't want teams like it was in South Sudan that believe that they can win.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back in Game Time Decisions here on the SportsGrid Network. A very happy Friday to you. All right, get him in here. Gilbert McGregor, Sporting News. We talked to him earlier in the week about Team USA and the basketball, both women and the men. And Gilbert, we were just talking here off air, and we're laughing going, what a different conversation we'd be having right now had Serbia actually held on to win here. But some of the takeaways in that game, the old guard it looks like they still got another gear to me, Gilbert. Like LeBron, if he trusts the guys he's around, we haven't seen that gear from LeBron in a long time, man. What did you take away from this win?
That was incredible. First off, we can't even joke around and say that never in doubt because I was genuinely nervous throughout that game as a fan of Team USA. Can't even mess around about that. But it's just crazy. You think about how that game went. Steph Curry was the one who he really was waiting for that breakthrough all Olympics, right? And he finally had it. And they were down by a lot at the end of the first quarter. I think Steph had 17 points, in the first quarter, 20 in the first half, and finished 1 point shy of a USA basketball record. And Kevin Durant struggled in the first half, and he stepped up and made big shots. And there was no doubt that those shots were going in, especially the way the momentum was going. But like you said, LeBron James has been the guy for this program throughout the exhibitions, throughout group play, and now to lead them 1 win away from a 5th consecutive gold medal. It's been the 39-year-old getting ready for his 22nd season in the NBA. It sounds crazy even saying it out loud, but he's the guy, only the 4th triple-double in Olympic basketball history, and he has 2 of them. What else can you say about those 3 guys? Generational talents, got the job done.
He's got another gear. Anybody who's thinking the dude is clearly, if he trusts the guys around him, he's a different player. It truly is amazing. Maybe it might be time for some wine and a banana boat here in Miami again. Maybe Durant and Steph Curry maybe they can all come together for one last run. Would be a lot of fun there. Were you okay with no Tatum again in this game? Everyone else seems to be really PO'd about it.
It was weird. He didn't play the first time they played against Serbia in the group stage, so I kind of wasn't surprised that he didn't get in. But it's just hard to hear that it's a math thing. It's a tough time to be able to find a rotation for him, especially because Anthony Edwards struggled in that game. Maybe give a different look. Maybe Tatum could have figured it out. And, it's easy to look back and say you could have done this or that differently. The game ended up working out in Team USA's favor. That being said, maybe they wouldn't have been in the position that they were in, trailing by double figures going into the fourth quarter if they gave Jason Tatum a look. But also, he seemed a little disengaged at that point. I could tell he's a little ticked off.
Yep.
Why wouldn't he be? He's a three-time All-NBA first-teamer, out of the rotation on arguably the best team in the world. And I think he should get a shot to play out there. But he needs to stay ready. He should be ready to play. I think he can have a role in the France game tomorrow.
All right, so let's talk about Serbia-Germany, the bronze game. What do they have left, Serbia? I mean, if that's not emptying the tank, Gilbert, I don't know what is. Are they going to have enough left to beat Germany?
It's tough because it's been quite the week for Serbia. You think back to their game against Australia in the quarterfinals, and they came back from 24 down. So I thought they didn't have anything left in the tank for Team USA, but you could tell they were motivated in that USA game. This is a Germany team that I'm sure had their sights set on the gold medal match the entire tournament, and they lost to France, the home team. I'm sure we'll talk about here in a second. So it's going to be a really good matchup. It's a little bit harder to get up for that one. They're going to be playing earlier in the day, but a lot of NBA talent on hand. Neither team wants to leave empty-handed, so I do expect maybe a slow start in this one. But once the stakes get higher and they realize, oh, wait a second, we're three or two quarters away from winning a medal, it'll be a really good game between these two teams.
Yeah, no, it'll be a very good game. But Team USA, I don't understand the odds movement here. This opened up Team USA 14 and a half, 180 is a total. And now we're going the opposite way. Like now it's 16 and a half and the total is dropping. Like, wait a minute. You want me to expect them to win with the total going down? Like, I don't understand. France is not going to get into a track meet here. Doesn't this favor France, this kind of number?
I think so, and I fully expect it to be a closer game. We always talk about in the NBA, role players play better at home. Well, guess what? France is playing at home. So I think a lot of the guys outside of Victor Wembanyama and Evan Fournier and Rudy Gobert, who's kind of out of the rotation, they are going to step up and they're going to hit big shots. I think the Team USA, as they do in every game, have the talent advantage, but France has the home crowd behind them, a little home cooking behind them, and that'll allow them to keep the game close. Gold medal games are hard. Team USA and France met in the gold medal game in Tokyo a few years ago, and it was a fight. Team USA was able to pull away, but it was a fight. So I'm expecting a fight, and I think Team USA has what it takes to pull away late in the second half, but I do think that France will be able to keep it close and maybe even ugly the game up a little bit just based on what they have going for them in this game.
So if we're thinking less points here, I mean, some of these player performance doubles, some of the player props here, I mean, LeBron, are we going lottery? Like LeBron, another triple-double to get it done? Like, how do we approach this? Who are we keying on? Does Steph go back-to-back off the wall? What do you think?
It's funny. I was thinking throughout the tournament, it was worth maybe just a little sprinkle on LeBron James triple-double whenever it was going to happen. And now that it's happened, I don't know if he has another one in store, but wouldn't that be a crazy way, if this is his last game at the Olympics, to go out on top with another triple-double? I also think Steph Curry had that breakthrough. And now it's going to be like shooting in the ocean for him in the next game. So him being maybe the leading scorer or having another big game in this gold medal performance, because this could very well be his first and only opportunity to win a gold medal. So I think the old guys, one more time, especially with each of them, there being a chance that this is their last time at the Olympics, they're going to have one big-time performance in store. And I guess the other one to throw out there, it could be very storybook if Jason Tatum comes from not playing at all to having some type of game. I don't even know what's available for Jason Tatum, but he's another guy to keep an eye on.
Yeah, you would think the motivation will be there in gold. And again, ultimately, this was always about just win the gold. Like, it's nothing else. We're not trying. You guys, listen, Tatum, you still got $300 million waiting for you back here in the States. Like, please, don't cry me a river here. I'm not interested in that at all. But did you notice, like I know, there was a little more pep in Embiid's step there in that game. He was a big reason why they had that comeback too. So Do you think he is the guy maybe who turned away from France to play with Team USA? They ain't going to like him there. He's going to be booed a lot.
That's another storyline. You think about it, he's been booed every game, and they weren't even playing against France yet. So
yes.
I have no telling the type of reaction he's going to hear when he's actually going against France. I think thinking about the storyline from last game, he does get up for these Nikola Jokic matchups, and people kind of say he ducks that, but he has some of his best games against Nikola Jokic. And when you think about it, a few months ago, he had his career high 70 points against Victor Wembanyama. So who knows? Maybe he has something else in store. Maybe there's something a little left over from that Spurs-Sixers matchup, and maybe Victor Wembanyama remembers that as well. He struggled a little bit throughout the tournament, at least as a scorer, so maybe he has his breakout performance at the Olympics. It should definitely be an interesting matchup between those two guys as well.
Yeah, we're both thinking under, though, right? We're both thinking slower paced. You're not going to get the paint.
It does feel like that. It really does feel like that, especially just because, one, it's going to be slowed down. You're not going to get in the paint that much. And these teams have so many miles on their bodies now at this point of the tournament. You think about game sevens in the NBA, things slow down a lot. It's going to be similar like that. It's one game to win it all, and teams have played a lot. So I do expect a slow pace. And again, France, in order to have a chance with teams that are just straight up more talented than you, you have to make the game a little bit ugly. You have to make it a bit of a rock fight and ultimately try to win games in certain spots. So if France wants to do that, they're a very well-coached group and they figure some things out strategically. They will probably try to ugly the game up a little bit.
And the women's side win by 30, 35. What do you
I'll say about I think the French women's team will have the crowd behind them, but today's women's performance was so surgical in that blowout of Australia. They're rolling now. I do expect them to win by at least 20, but probably 25, 30 it seems like. And maybe I don't want to regret saying that, but that's what it certainly seems like.
It feels like they're going to leave it all out on the court. Whatever it is, they're going to win. They 60 now. It'll be 61, 8th straight gold. Unbelievable. Gilbert McGregor, always a pleasure, my man. Enjoy the games here this week. We'll talk to you again soon. Game Time Decisions continues here on the Grid.
Hopefully they learned their lesson. Hey, this ain't the NBA, bro. You don't have 6 fouls, and they will check you on this stuff. And Brooks has a reputation coming into this. You can tell the refs are watching them, and they were on him all the time.
This was 10, 12 years ago. Canada playing Greece with that type of lead that they had. They probably would have mentally crumbled and lost that game to Greece by 3 or 4 points in the final minute of that ball game.
Sports Rage Late Night, only on SportsGrid.
What is the ceiling for this kid? Now that he's got the money, and we saw something click with him, what is the ceiling for a Jordan Love in this Green Bay team?
Deepest pass target group in the National Football League. 2 stud tight ends. They're a legit 5 deep at receiver. 7 bona fide pass targets. Come on, man. This guy could be a stud. Top 5 quarterback.
Game Time Decisions, only on SportsGrid.
Say the under has the correct juice to the 6.5 win total for the New York Giants. It's a losing season. It's a bad season in the greater New York area. Is Brian Daboll and is Joe Shea back next year?
As a Giants fan, what are you looking forward to? Absolutely nothing. You're hoping like the Yankees make a long enough run so you can forget about the Giants.
The early line, only on SportsGrid.
If the U.S. gets to a bad start and they're down or close, I may double down on the second quarter because I know that that's when Steve Kerr is going to want to either A, if it's close, open it up. If they're losing, you got to get the lead because you don't want teams like it was in South Sudan that believe that they can win.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back in Game Time Decisions on this Friday. I'm Joe Raineri, joined by our good friend Tom Vecchio as we're getting ready. What was a 16-game slate? One game in the books already, one game rained out. We've got plenty of action getting ready to get underway here, a couple of games. But let me start, Tom, quick with the Guardians lost again. What is that, 6 in a row? Listen, there's no shame in losing to Bailey Over. The guy's been phenomenal here. Are you worried about the Guardians at all?
Well, thanks for having me. I think you have to be at this point. And I got to say, like, if you're just a casual baseball fan, you got to be rooting for the Royals. You got to be rooting for them. You know, seeing the Guardians slip in the standings. I think the Guardians actually would be the team to have the most interest in because they just announced that, Joe Ryan for the Twins, right? He's going to be out months, they said, not weeks, with whatever grade 2 strain he has in his tricep, I think.
Yep.
So Guardians are slipping. Twins just lost their ace. Not to say they don't have other good pitchers, but with the excitement that the Royals bring, we should be rooting for them and the Pirates to make the wild card or make the playoffs. That's where the excitement is in baseball.
I'm 100% with you. I think maybe the Guardians might have played their best baseball. They peaked too soon, and it could be downhill from here. One of the games coming up has got a lot of juice this weekend series here between Boston and Houston. How barely walked anybody to start the season. Last month, he walked everybody. So is he just wearing down a little bit, Tom? Should we be worried? How do you approach this game tonight against the Astros?
Well, the Astros are really disciplined at the plate, and they've always been that way. I'm not saying it's because they have external factors helping them, but they've always been really disciplined at the plate. They have a 19.2% strikeout rate versus righties, which is the 4th lowest in the league. They simply don't waste chances. Tanner Houck has a 22% strikeout rate. He's just not someone that's going to be dominating on the mound. He also has a 9.9% swinging strike rate, which is super low. So I like Houck under 4.5 strikeouts, sitting at plus 116. Also, about 10 to 15 mile per hour wind blowing out to left field. So A, he's not a big-time strikeout pitcher. B, it's a tough match for him to rack up the strikeouts. And then if the wind gets going, he could be pulled early just because he gives up a ton of runs. And yeah, he had 7 strikeouts in his last start. Any pitcher can do that. But he had 2, 2, 6, and 1 in the 4 starts prior. He had 5 total strikeouts combined in 3 of his last 4 starts. So, this isn't a pitcher that's routinely going over. It's all about the under tonight.
Yeah, I'm with you there. We got one that's just getting underway here with the Halos. Shouldn't they be tanking? What's going on with the Angels taking on the Nats here? This one just got underway. Can they keep rolling here at plus money?
I mean, was it Zach Neto has 15 RBIs in his last?
It's crazy,
right? And listen, bad teams are going to win games. It's going to happen. I guess even the White Sox won a game. I have interest in theory in the White Sox, not just because the game is going to have a ton of wind blowing out, and that's a great park. But when it comes to the Angels, I can't trust them on a night in and night out basis outside of taking a long shot on an RBI prop just because we get plus money with it. So I'd be willing to decrease the unit size and roll with something like that. And that's probably the best way to approach weaker teams, I guess is the best way to put it.
Yep. Yeah, Hoppin and Nato are just absolutely crushing it for them, and they got their best pitcher on the mound here. Terrible spot for the Phillies tonight, or is it in your mind?
I really like this spot. Ryan Nelson's not a pitcher that I'm super worried about. I also think Trey Turner is awesome. So I like him for 2+ hits. It's sitting at plus 160. It's rather specific. He is sitting at minus 120 for 2+ total bases. Obviously, there's a world where he has a double. He goes 1 for 4. He would cash the 2+ total bases, but he doesn't cash the 2+ hits. So I'm willing to roll for the plus 160. He's awesome. 125 WRC plus versus righties. 356 BABIP. That's ultimately what we want. The balls in play, getting the hits. And he's a 349 WOBA versus righties. Ryan Nelson, bad versus righties. 39% hard contact rate allowed. A 386 BABIP, which is good for Trey Turner, who just puts the ball in play. He's also not an overly dominant strikeout pitcher. So give me the Phillies tonight. I would say a bit more runs than we saw last night. I know it was 10 last night, but I would say some good scoring from the Phillies.
They had to use, I think, 4 of their high leverage guys out of the pen last night because of Aller. Do I go over outs on Wheeler here? 18.5?
Yeah, I think so. I think that's the route to go, like you said. And that's one of the key things in baseball, especially at this point in the season, that if you're a casual bettor, pitcher out props is probably not something that you're keying in on. But if you understand bullpen usage and they're on at the end of a long road trip and they had to use these starters X amount of times because they got blown out in Seattle, they're wearing down. They need their ace to be out there for at least 7 innings tonight.
Yeah, I'm with you. That's the route I'm looking at for sure here. And the Dodgers, of course, taking on Pittsburgh in this one here. It feels like there's a couple of different ways to go in this game. How are you approaching it?
Keeping things super simple to start off the weekend, and that's just Shohei Ohtani, 2+ total bases at minus 125. Going up against Mitch Keller, we're not worried about Mitch Keller overall. And what I love about this is Ohtani, or players in the Ohtani tier, is that he can get this done in one swing, right? Mitch Keller giving up 1.20 home runs per 9 to lefties. He's only giving up 289 BABIP, but he has a 39% fly ball rate allowed to lefties and a 425 slugging. So he doesn't give up a ton of hits, but the hits he gives up, a lot of them are going for power, which are doubles or home runs. So we just take Ohtani, keep it super simple. We know what they're doing with their lineup. He's going to be in there. Freddie Freeman's back, which is great to see. It, kind of protects him a bit more in the lineup. Mookie Betts will be back soon. So the Dodgers are going to keep rolling.
It's crazy here with, you said it, root for Pittsburgh and root for Kansas City, who's got that, cross-state, cross-town rival going on here against St. Louis. Are you a fan of Lorenzen?
This is actually the 1-year anniversary of the no-hitter that he pitched last year at Philly tonight. Yes. So I don't know if there's something there. I just saw one tweet about that, but I think that game and the series should be fun, but I want to root for the Royals because of Bobby Witt, and I want to root for the Pirates because of Paul Skeens. I want to see them in playoff games. That's where I think they deserve to be. So give me some Royals, give me some Pittsburgh, maybe not Pittsburgh this weekend, but I'll take them going forward.
Yeah, I agree. And give me some runs there at Kauffman Stadium on a hot, humid night in the summer. I got no problem with that at all. Sitting at 9 right now, 9.5. So, Tom Vecchio, always a pleasure, brother. Thank you very much. Plenty more baseball still to come, even though football's here. So we certainly look forward to hanging with you and getting more plays from you throughout the week. Enjoy the night, and more importantly, go Pittsburgh. Except for Ohtani. Make sure he goes 3 hits here tonight. We got no problem with that. And go Royals. Let's go big on the Royals here tonight. Game Time Decisions. We'll be back after this.
Hopefully they learned their lesson. Hey, this ain't the NBA, bro. You don't have 6 fouls, and they will check you on this stuff. And Brooks has a reputation coming into this. You can tell the refs are watching them, and they were on him all the time.
This was 10, 12 years ago. Canada playing Greece with that type of lead that they had. They probably would have mentally crumbled and lost that game to Greece by 3 or 4 points in the final minute of that ball game.
Sports Rage Late Night, only on SportsGrid.
What is the ceiling for this kid? Now that he's got the money, and we saw something click with him, what is the ceiling for a Jordan Love in this Green Bay team?
Deepest pass target group in the National Football League. 2 stud tight ends. They're legit 5 deep at receivers. 7 bona fide pass targets deal. Come on, man. This guy could be a stud. Top 5 quarterback.
Game Time Decisions, only on SportsGrid.
Say the under has the correct juice to the 6.5 win total for the New York Giants. It's a losing season. It's a bad season in the greater New York area. Is Brian Daboll and is Joe Shane back next year?
As a Giants fan, what are you looking forward to? Absolutely nothing. You're hoping like the Yankees make a long enough run so you can forget about the Giants.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
If the U.S. gets to a bad start and they're down or close, I may double down on the second quarter because I know that that's when Steve Kerr is going to want to either A, if it's close, open it up. If they're losing, you got to get the lead because you don't want teams like it was in South Sudan that believe that they can win.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back in Game Time Decisions here on this Friday now, August the 9th, as we get ready to wrap up this first hour together. We got much more still to come, of course, a loaded MLB slate. We've got three NFL preseason Week 1 games coming up, including Atlanta, the Falcons, and their new number 1 quarterback pick there. No, it ain't Kirk Cousins. Michael Penix Jr. here tonight will be taking on the Dolphins in Miami. Looking forward to that one. Of course, we talked about Baltimore and Philadelphia. Baltimore getting money. Yes, that's right. Plus money. The Ravens with a unbelievably gaudy and disgusting preseason ATS record with Coach Harbaugh. Still, the market has flipped this. They opened up, by the way, as a 3-point favorite. They're now a 1.5-point dog against Philadelphia. This is going to be a lot of people going to be very interested to see how this goes. And of course, the Steelers also will be on tap against the Texans. So a lot of NFL preseason football tonight and this weekend. And of course, coming up just after the top of the hour here, we'll have a few more games getting ready to go underway with their first pitch, including the Blue Jays at home taking on the Athletics. How about Vladdy? Vladdy, with a 20-game hitting streak right now, was a single short of the cycle last night here. They are looking to keep rolling with Berrios against Mitch Spence. That game is coming up here shortly. We had told you, of course, about the Astros and the Red Sox. That is a game with Blanco and Houck we're going to be keeping an eye on. And one of my favorite plays of the day here will be the Padres taking on the Marlins in Miami. Perez going for the Padres. Cabrera going for Miami. I just don't see a way in which we're not backing the Padres on the run line in this one. This lineup, folks, has been absolutely destroying the ball. And Cabrera, not exactly. Too many walks, too many wild pitches, too many runners possibly able to come across the plate. So I like the Padres on the run line in this one, but that game is also getting ready. First pitch just after the top of the hour. In the meantime, the Angels and the Nats. The Angels, after whooping up on the Yankees, are now in the nation's capital. This is an interesting one. We just talked to Tom Vecchio about the Angels have their ace, whatever that is, Soriano, on the mound here tonight, but the Neto and O'Hop have been absolutely crushing the ball for the Angels. These young players here, they're not void of talent. And it's not like the Nationals are some sort of juggernaut here in the National League East. So this is might be worth a look-see with the Angels here and any sort of plus money during this game. And the Orioles, coming off a just disgusting display last night against the Blue Jays. Blue Jays ended up holding on as the Orioles. That game ended 7-6, but it was never really close, except for the ninth inning when the bullpen of the Blue Jays fell apart. But it's still a loss for the Orioles. They're still neck and neck with the Yankees. They are up, though, 1-0 against the Rays in this one in Tampa Bay. And Zach Little is on the mound for the Rays in this one. Just one run. They already scored, almost hit another home run. They made a nice play in center field, the center fielder for Tampa, to haul that in. So 2 outs, and Tampa's going to get ready to get up at the plate. In addition to those games, we've got plenty of interesting matchups. How about a big National League Central matchup coming up tonight between the Reds and the Brewers? The Brewers are running over everybody. They basically running over the Braves. But now the Reds are coming to town here, and Aaron Savale on the mound for the Brewers versus Spires for the Reds. We'll see if the Reds can keep it going in that one. And game 2 of the Guardians and the Twins. Again, Twins won game 1, 6 straight losses for the Guardians here now. It might be 7 here as Varland, who's got electric stuff if he knows where it's going, for the Minnesota Twins, and former Giant Alex Cobb That is how bad it's gotten for the Guardians, as they're rolling out guys like Cobb right now to try and pitch for them. A lot of injuries starting to catch up with this Guardians team. So that is another one we're going to keep a close eye on here tonight. Plenty more games to talk about. Joe Madden coming up this hour. Mr. George Kurtz, come back and join us another hour. Game Time Decisions on the Grid.
Hopefully they learned their lesson. Hey, this ain't the NBA, bro. You don't have 6 fouls, and they will check you on this stuff. And Brooks has a reputation coming into this. You can tell the refs are watching them, and they were on him all the time.
This was 10, 12 years ago. Canada playing Greece with that type of lead that they had. They probably would have mentally crumbled and lost that game to Greece by 3 or 4 points in the final minute of that ball game.
Sports Rage Late Night, only on SportsGrid.
What is the ceiling for this kid? Now that he's got the money, and we saw something click with him, what is the ceiling for a Jordan Love in this Green Bay team?
Deepest pass target group in the National Football League. 2 stud tight ends. They're a legit 5 deep at receivers. 7 bona fide pass targets deal. Come on, man. This guy could be a stud. Top 5 quarterback.
Game Time Decisions, only on SportsGrid.
Say the under has the correct juice to the 6.5 win total for the New York Giants. It's a losing season. It's a bad season in the greater New York area. Is Brian Daboll and is Joe Shane back next year?
As a Giants fan, what are you looking forward to? Absolutely nothing. You're hoping like the Yankees make a long enough run so you can forget about the Giants.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
If the U.S. gets to a bad start and they're down or close, I may double down on the second quarter because I know that that's when Steve Kerr is going to want to either A, if it's close, like, open it up. If they're losing, you got to get the lead because you don't want teams like it was in South Sudan that believe that they can win.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back in here. Game Time Decisions on the Sports Grid Network on this Friday. I'm Joe Raineri. I want to thank you so much for hanging with us as we get ready for a big night. We got plenty of Major League Baseball getting ready to get underway, not to mention 3 more Week 1 preseason games in the NFL. And no doubt, if there is a favorite to like tonight on the card, George Kurtz is the guy that's going to point us in that direction. Kurtz, always a pleasure to see you. Chalk and all. And I understand we got a couple of games coming up here, I think, in Major League Baseball that we'll get to. But start with the NFL for us. Which one of these 3 games are you most interested in? I understand you were a big fan of the Giant game last night. So what are you thinking?
The Giant game last night wasn't bad. I actually watched I didn't want to watch the Giants because living in New York, we always see the Giants. I wanted to watch anything but them.
Yeah, that's true.
So I watched the Panthers and Patriots.
That
was a mistake. That was a mistake on my part. Listen, I had the under. I take a lot of unders in preseason football. These teams, they don't play their quarterbacks. They're not doing that. They're not playing their regulars, especially early on here. And I think that's the most important thing if you're going to bet preseason. You need to know who's playing and who's not. Look for quarterback competitions. The Raiders are a perfect example. Minshew, right? O'Connell, they're going to play. All right, so that gives you a little heads up there. We find out today that Bo Nick's going to play, so maybe give Denver a heads up on Sunday against Indianapolis. I'll probably like them in that game. So, yeah, that's what I've been watching. Now, you said tonight's games, not so much what happened to me last night. By the way, I'm still Okay, I like preseason. Okay, I like it right now. Talk to me on Monday. I'm going to hate preseason. I don't want to move on here. Atlanta, Miami here. I probably lean towards Atlanta, but I don't see how you're betting this. I mean, Kirk Cousins is not going to play. We don't know what Miami's going to do here, but I'm not going to lay the money with Atlanta here. I think in this case, since I don't love it, I'm going to take the under 38.5. All right, I think I'm going to go there. If I was going to bet the game itself, it would probably just take the plus money with Miami, but I have no reasons to give you. I'm just taking plus money here. So there's your chalk, not taking it too bad here. Houston and Pittsburgh. Now, this one I'm going to go. We know Houston's the better team here, but I'm going to go Steelers here because I think they have something to prove, especially Justin Fields. See how much they're going to play here. So I'll take Pittsburgh once again and the plus money here. Philadelphia, Baltimore. Don't we always take Baltimore? All right. Once again, Harbaugh seems to like to win these games. That being said, once again, this is another under for me. You may live in Florida. I'm here in New York. All right, Baltimore's not that far away. The weather here is going to be miserable very shortly here. We already know the Yankees already postponed their game about 12 hours ago. It's extremely windy looking outside my window here. It's going to start raining shortly. I assume Baltimore already has this. And it may already be raining there. It may already be windy. So it's another reason why I just don't think we're going to see many points scored. Out of everything we can talk about tonight, I probably feel best about the under in this game. I just don't think they're going to be points. I wonder if they're going to finish the game actually here. So give me, I'll take the under in the game. And of course, Baltimore seems to care. Give me the Baltimore Ravens as well. Although I'll admit this, Joe, since that little streak of theirs was broken last year where they were winning all those preseason games, I do wonder if Harbaugh maybe doesn't care as much as about winning in preseason games as he used to.
Yeah, well, there's still a lot of question marks with the Ravens. I know they've got a lot of question marks with that offensive line, but ultimately, I think when it comes down to it in the second half, he still preaches you don't want anybody laying down there. So it'll be interesting to see what kind of effort at home. But like you said, the weather, it'll be interesting to see what we get in that one. What are you thinking about this Eagles team, though, this year? It's an interesting group now, is it not? And I almost feel like maybe the honeymoon is over and they underperformed last year. At least a lot of people thought, Eagle fans thought here. We're looking at a 10.5 win total. Are you buying the Eagles this year?
Underperformed. They imploded last year. They were 10-1. And then, wow. I mean, whatever happened behind the scenes there, just they imploded here. I do think Sirianni needs to have a good season here, because he's gone. Two new coordinators, right? Fangio and Kellen Moore. So we'll see. Does that take a little bit of time for the team, the players to get used to those guys? I could see that happening here, where maybe a slow start to the season. That wouldn't shock me here. Now, we all know, you certainly shouldn't need me to tell you this, that it's been 20 years, 03-04, since any team in the NFC East has won back-to-back division titles. Going by that alone, the Giants aren't winning the NFC East. Commanders aren't winning the NFC East. And I don't believe the Cowboys are anywhere near the team they were last year. So, by process of elimination, I'll take the Eagles to win the NFC East. I like that better. Well, I like that bet better than I do the 10.5. I think the Eagles probably do get to 11, but the schedule is tougher this year, for the NFC East. They play the AFC North. That's Cleveland, Pittsburgh, Cincinnati, Baltimore. No fun there. All right, so that's a little rougher there. So I don't know if they quite get the 10-8. Maybe it's a 10-7 season. I think that's enough to win the NFC East. I think the Cowboys are not the team they were last year. They don't have the depth. A couple of injuries here and there, and they're toast. So I think the Eagles will win the NFC East, but I'm not going to take them over their win total here. We got the Cowboys up there. I am on the Cowboys under. I think the Cowboys are, like I said, they if you're a fantasy player, they are a stars and scrubs team. All right, they have a lot of star players. Dak, CD, Micah. If any of these guys get hurt, this team's going to die real quick. They don't have the depth there. And the offensive line is a major, major work in progress here. Plus, I have to wonder what's going on behind the scenes here. All right? I'm not saying this to be sarcastic or to be a joke or whatever. Joe, has Jerry Jones just lost it? I mean, really, is he just gone? But they're just afraid to tell him, hey, we need a cognitive test here. Because, what was it, about 2 weeks ago, he was talking about running the option play over and over again. Then yesterday, I went to high school. I went to college. What the hell does this mean? And then he says, I'm not worried about signing C.D. Lamb. I'm not worried about signing Dak Prescott. Why not? All right, why the hell not? So, listen, I'm as curious as anybody else to see how this plays out. I think CeeDee Lamb will be in Dallas, but I think it'll be sort of like the Ezekiel Elliott situation, where Elliott showed up back when he was holding out the last week of training camp here. I think it'll be the same thing. Which means Dow's going to start behind the 8 ball a little bit here, trying to get everyone up to par. Dak Prescott, I don't have anything to tell you here. I'm starting to believe here that, and by the way, if Jerry Jones is thinking this, I don't think I blame him for this. But if Jerry Jones is thinking, listen, we've gone as far as we can with Dak. We know what he can do. He's good during the regular season, good with the division, but he chokes in big games. We can't win a Super Bowl. I can't win a Super Bowl with him. If that's what he's thinking, Joe, I really can't blame him for that, because I think that is true. But then who the hell is the quarterback next year? All right. I mean, Trey Lance, I guess we'll find out on Sunday, because Dak is not going to play. Trey Lance will play, I think, at least a half. So I guess we'll sort of find out here, which, by the way, means you might like Dallas on Sunday, because Trey Lance is going to play. But I don't know if he's the answer. I doubt it. And this team is built to win now. So I don't know what's going on with the Cowboys. As a Cowboy fan, I'm disillusioned. I just don't know who's steering the ship. What direction they're going in here? Are you playing to win now? Or are you going to let that go and hope you can find another quarterback? I just don't understand what's going on in Dallas.
Ladies and gentlemen, that is why I love talking Cowboy football with George Kurtz. If you'll notice, he spent the first half of that conversation looking for cognitive tests with Jerry Jones, and the second half going, listen, if Jerry's thinking Dak isn't the right one, I can't blame him. So which one is it, Kurtz? Is he lost his marbles, or is he spot on by not wanting to pay Dak Prescott? Which one is it?
I think he's lost his marbles. If you're going to answer,
there you go.
Only because when you hear him talk, it's like,
right,
Jerry, what do you? I mean, you.
Yeah, but isn't the kid running it though? Isn't the kid really running the show?
No,
isn't his
Jerry
son?
Jerry still makes all the decisions. He's the last guy. You can always see Steven going on the press conferences. Jerry, shut up. Jerry, please, Dad, quiet.
Yeah,
Dad,
right.
No,
exactly.
No more, Dad, come on. It was the grittiest teeth. Jerry, get quiet, please. Jerry, be quiet. It's just, when you hear Jerry talk, it's like he's always been a fast, quick talker. I get that, but he doesn't make any sense anymore.
No. Well, he's got Ezekiel Elliott, so everything will work out there, Kurtz. You know that. All right, we do have a update in Major League Baseball, some games we want to get to there. We'll do that with George when Game Time Decisions continues here on the Grid.
Hopefully they learned their lesson. Hey, this ain't the NBA, bro. You don't have 6 fouls, and they will check you on this stuff. And Brooks has a reputation coming into this. You can tell the refs are watching them, and they were on him all the time.
This was 10, 12 years ago. Canada playing Greece with that type of lead that they had. They probably would have mentally crumbled and lost that game to Greece by 3 or 4 points in the final minute of that ball game.
Sports Rage Late Night, only on SportsGrid.
What is the ceiling for this kid? Now that he's got the money, and we saw something click with him, what is the ceiling for a Jordan Love in this Green Bay team?
Deepest pass target group in the National Football League. 2 stud tight ends. They're legit 5 deep at receivers. 7 bona fide pass targets. Come on, man. This guy could be a stud. Top 5 quarterback.
Game Time Decisions, only on SportsGrid.
Say the under has the correct juice to the 6.5 win total for the New York Giants. It's a losing season. It's a bad season in the greater New York area. Is Brian Daboll and is Joe Shane back next year?
As a Giants fan, what are you looking forward to? Absolutely nothing. You're hoping like the Yankees make a long enough run so you can forget about the Giants.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
If the U.S. gets to a bad start and they're down or close, I may double down on the second quarter because I know that that's when Steve Kerr is going to want to either A, if it's close, open it up. If they're losing, you got to get the lead because you don't want teams like it was in South Sudan that believe that they can win.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
right, welcome back in Game Time Decisions here on the Sports Grid Network. Joe Raineri, joined by George Kurtz once again as we are off and running. Major League Baseball games underway right now. Angels 2-1 over the Nats. We told you about that. The Orioles remain up 1-0 on the Rays. Athletics and Blue Jays, Astros, Red Sox, and Padres, Marlins, all underway right now. No score there in the first inning. We were saying earlier, George, with the Athletics and the Blue Jays, I mean, Guerrero's like, Vladdy's a little one-man wrecking crew, 20-game hitting streak here. They welcome in. They seem to have finally figured some things out here with Toronto. Did you like them against the Athletics at home here? Can they keep it rolling?
I didn't take the Blue Jays over the Athletics. I kind of like the Athletics. I didn't take them either here. I took the over. All right, that's what I'm leaning with. I think there's going to be some runs scored in this game. The Blue Jays, I mean, maybe because the pressure's off now. Now they relax a little bit. They can play better. And you're 1,000% right about Guerrero. My God, he's hitting the cover off the ball here. Woo! He should really be getting the Aaron Judge treatment. Welcome. Let Dalton Varsho beat you. Let anybody behind. They've got no one else in the lineup here. Or Alejandro Kirk, fine. If he beats you, God bless. But you shouldn't be letting Guerrero beat you there. But I think runs are coming in this game once again. Small ballpark, ball flies out of it. I did play Guerrero to hit an anytime home run. We'll see how that works. I got Rooker to hit one as well here in this game. So, like I said, I'm expecting runs. And generally when I expect runs in the game, I take some anytime home runs as well.
Yep, if it ain't broke, get her done here. Did you? What did you do with Boston and Houston, which I find to be a fascinating weekend series here? Were you thinking over in this one? You think we're going to get some runs, or is it a pitcher's duel?
Yeah, Boston, Houston, probably two teams I really, really don't like. Right,
I know.
Two teams I dislike. Right, I got the Astros, who I just can't stand, and of course the Red Sox. As a Yankee fan, I am like contractually obligated to dislike them. As far as this contest is going here, it's in Fenway Park. Once again, I do worry about the weather a little bit, so this sort of plays into it. Blanco versus Houck. I mean, it's a pretty decent pitching matchup, Joe. So I don't know if I love the over here. Maybe more of an in-game opportunity if you want to take the over. I did not bet it pre-game here. I'm going to take the Red Sox here. Small play, nothing drastic here. Just a little something on the game. This is more of an in-game. I want to see how it goes, see how they're playing. We all know games at Fenway. Certainly, it doesn't matter who's pitching. Sometimes the ball is going up the wall. They're hitting weird shots here, and the runs are coming left and right. We saw that when the Yankees in Boston played in their series, where they were scoring runs left and right here. But because of the weather, really throughout the Northeast, on all the outdoor stadiums, I'm being very cautious pregame about what I'm going to do with them. I'm also worried about a game ending after 6 innings. 5 innings, and it's canceled here.
Yeah.
So that takes into effect as well.
Good point there. A game that should be plenty of fireworks. The Cubs and the White Sox. I mean, Crochet on the mound, and has anybody checked out more so than Crochet, who only goes like 4 innings now, and he wants nothing to do with this team or this franchise. Like, he wants out as soon as possible. Jameson Taillon should have no problem limiting the White Sox here. And the Cubs, as bad as they've been, do they really want to lose to the White Sox in this spot?
You probably have one of my top 3 favorite bets of the night, man. I'm on the Cubs big time here. For everything you said here. I like the under in this game as well, by the way, so I'm going to take that. I was a little surprised that it was at 8.5. Taillon's been great. I mean,
just no run support.
He's still a Cub. Yeah, well, it's not perfect. All right, but no run support tonight could be good for me. I got the under. So I'm a little surprised he's still a Cub, but I sort of understand he's signed for next year so they can keep him there. But I think Crochet will pitch well enough tonight. I don't think he's going to get wrecked. All right, I do think. Listen, if you really want to get out of there, don't make that stupid statement you made. All right, maybe you'd be on the Dodgers or another team like that. So we'll see how that goes here. I think he'll pitch well enough. I think Taillon will pitch very well. I don't think Grady Sizemore was the answer to their problems here, the new manager of the White Sox. So yes, give me the Cubs and give me the under.
Yep. How about Kansas City and St. Louis? I love this little cross-state rivalry here with these two teams who are both battling in the Central Division, American League and National League here. Royals at home. What are you thinking?
Yeah, a little battle of Missouri here, right? We got Lorenzen and Mikolas, two so-so starting pitchers. All right, so I'm going to take the over. That's where I'm going with that. 8.5. I'll take the over there. You're paying a price for it. Minus 122. Yeah. I'm just staring at now. Just went down a penny or two. So I'll take the over there. I think we're going to get some runs here. Once again, because of the price you're paying, won't be a big play here. I just think they're going to score runs. If you wanted to wait, which was something I did consider, and maybe I should have considered more, and just hope St. Louis doesn't score on the top of the inning, we might either get a better price or you might get it down to 8. So that could be a consideration as well if you want to wait for that. And I'm starting to wish I would have done that. I would have waited, hoped that there was no run at the top of the first here, and then hit a better number or like I said, a lower total.
Yeah, I think it's going to be an interesting game. I think Arizona with Philadelphia is also interesting here. I mean, Wheeler's on the mound, but coming out of that series against the Dodgers, did it feel like a rough spot here for the Phillies?
I thought that last night. That's exactly what I thought last night. Right? That they have a letdown against Arizona, yet they won. They're hitting the ball like Schwarber's crushing again here. Wheeler's on the mound. I can't go with Arizona. You don't want to bet Philadelphia? That's fine. Maybe, sometimes there is something to it where it's not the next game where you had the letdown, it's the game after. So there is something to that. That being said, Wheeler was fantastic in his last start. I know he got beat up by the Yankees, but he was great last start. I think he's great again tonight. I can't bet on Arizona. I know how well they played. I'd probably feel better if they had one of their better starting pitchers on the mound here. That being said, I put I'm probably a medium-sized bet on the Philadelphia Phillies. They've gotten out of their little slump.
Anyway, you trust the Braves at Coors Field. You see who's pitching
over
here?
Yeah, I trust the over. That's why I'm on the over.
Okay. Yeah.
Runs the cover.
Yeah.
10.5.
Yeah.
I thought it would be 11, Joe. I thought it was going to be 11.
Yep.
All right, they made it 10.5. I'll take the over. Grant Holmes, or I don't even care who Colorado's throwing, and it's nobody great anyway. Runs are coming tonight in Colorado. You have to believe that. So I am on the over here. We have a home run, by the way, in Toronto. Any chances Guerrero?
Yeah, Springer.
It is not. George Springer.
No, Springer let it off. Yep, right off the game. Boom. Bottom of the first there, 1-0 against them. Baltimore still up 1-0 as well. All right, Kurtz, we got plenty of baseball. Preseason football is back. This should be a whole lot of chalk in your future, says the Magic 8 Ball. So we look forward to getting you back here so we can spread the joy of chalk this NFL season. Game Time Decisions continues, though, after this.
Hopefully they learned their lesson. Hey, this ain't the NBA, bro. You don't have 6 fouls, and they will check you on this stuff. And Brooks has a reputation coming into this. You can tell the refs are watching them, and they were on him all the time.
This was 10, 12 years ago. Canada playing Greece with that type of lead that they had. They probably would have mentally crumbled and lost that game to Greece by 3 or 4 points in the final minute of that ball game.
Sports Rage Late Night, only on SportsGrid.
What is the ceiling for this kid? Now that he's got the money, and we saw something click with him, what is the ceiling for a Jordan Love in this Green Bay team?
Deepest pass target group in the National Football League. 2 stud tight ends. They're a legit 5 deep at receivers. 7 bona fide pass targets, Joe. Come on, man. This guy could be a stud. Top 5 quarterback.
Game Time Decisions, only on SportsGrid.
Say the under has the correct juice to the 6.5 win total for the New York Giants. It's a losing season. It's a bad season in the greater New York area. Is Brian Daboll and is Joe Shane back next year?
As a Giants fan, what are you looking forward to? Absolutely nothing. You're hoping like the Yankees make a long enough run so you can forget about the Giants.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
If the U.S. gets to a bad start and they're down or close, I may double down on the second quarter because I know that that's when Steve Kerr is going to want to either A, if it's close, open it up. If they're losing, you got to get the lead because you don't want teams like it was in South Sudan that believe that they can win.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
right, welcome back in Game Time Decisions here on the Sports Grid Network. I'm Joe Raineri. Very happy Friday to you. We're excited as we cruise along here in August. We got about 5 weeks left in the Major League Baseball season. We'll have postseason, but we've got football back with the preseason. And don't forget, the it feels like a 9-10 month a year sport is the CFL, the Canadian football, and Joe Madden knows all about it because, Joe, I feel like they've been playing the Canadian football since last November. It just feels like it doesn't stop. It's like a continuation here. But we got a couple of pretty big games this week, including tonight with the Stampeders, your Calgary Stampeders taking on the Argos of Toronto. What are we doing in this one? Both teams hovering around 500 right now.
Well, this is a rematch of in week 9. Just last week, we saw these two teams face off in Calgary. Calgary was able to come back and get the win, and Toronto was able to dominate in those first 3 quarters. But in that fourth quarter, they completely fell apart, allowing Calgary to put up 21 unanswered points. I am looking for Calgary to come out nice and strong in this one. This is one of those matchups that Calgary seems to dominate. The head coach is so unstoppable versus Toronto that I'm looking for Calgary to do it again. Now, they're the dog here, and we're getting them at plus 118 on the money line, and I can't say no to that price. This is a team that knows how to beat Toronto, even with Toronto at home. With how Toronto was dominant in those first 3 quarters, I can't back them here. They're on their 3rd string quarterback in Nick Arbuckle. Chad Kelly still not back in rotation for them. And we have seen Cameron Dukes go out with a leg injury. Now, he should be back next week if Chad Kelly isn't back from that suspension. But I think it's just going to be too little here. Jake Maier in the last game was limited in that one for his passing yards, but I do think he finds a way in this one here, Joe. I'm taking Jake Maier over 1.5 passing yards. That's coming in at minus 114. Calgary on the money line. And Reggie, I'm going to take the wide receiver. He's absolutely phenomenal. He put up close to 100 yards in that last game out. I'm expecting him to nicely go over his 53.5 receiving yards. I even thought it was higher than that number. It's coming in at minus 113. Last week, 98 receiving yards. He's totaled 373 receiving yards on the season. I think he's in for a big day. This is week 10. Calgary is clicking, and don't underestimate them, even though they've had those struggles on the road, Joe.
So what do we do? It's not been a great run for the Tiger Cats here on Hamilton, but did you have Montreal being this good this year? Because they are absolutely ridiculous here. What, 7-1 now? I mean, any chance for the Tiger Cats to get it done here?
You know what? This is another rematch. We saw this matchup in week 9 again, and we're just changing location. And I didn't expect Montreal to be this dominant and strong on the season. Now, again, we have quarterback issues for Montreal. Cody Fajardo isn't back in the lineup as of yet. I was hoping to see him listed for tomorrow, and then it would be Montreal all day long. The advantage here that the Ticats do have is they were able to get film last week on Davis Alexander. It was his first time out there on the field, so no one knew what to expect out of him. But the Ticats are struggling. Bo Levi Mitchell came out erratic in that game. They tried to put up the points nice and fast, and he got intercepted. Now, we did see the interceptions coming by the Ticats defense as well on Montreal. I'm expecting in this one the Ticats to come out stronger offensively and put up the points in that first half. Their first half point total is only 9.5, and it's because Montreal's defense is so phenomenally strong. I'm going to ride it to the over 9.5 points coming in at minus 135 in the first half for the Ticats. I think they should be able to do it, but Bo Levi Mitchell has to come out more disciplined. He can't take those chances out there on the field and can't get picked off, because if he gets picked off here by Montreal, it's going to be a very long day with a very similar outcome as we saw in week 9. But I do have faith in Bo Levi Mitchell. He used to be the quarterback for the Calgary Stampeders. He's got a phenomenal arm. He just needs a couple more seconds in the pocket to get that ball moving down the field, Joe.
All right, so real quick here, BC Lions or Edmonton Elks? You leaning either way?
You got to play the big plays on the BC Lions. The quarterback coming in for Vernon Adams Jr., he's phenomenal. He's got an arm, 2+ big plays at -110, and Trey Ford of the Edmonton Elks over on his rushing yards, over 55.5, Joe.
Sounds like money to me, Joe Madden. We appreciate it as always. Game Time Decisions continues after this.
Hopefully they learned their lesson. Hey, this ain't the NBA, bro. You don't have 6 fouls, and they will check you on this stuff. And Brooks has a reputation coming into this. You can tell the refs are watching them, and they were on him all the time.
This was 10, 12 years ago. Canada playing Greece with that type of lead that they had. They probably would have mentally crumbled and lost that game to Greece by 3 or 4 points in the final minute of that ball game.
Sports Rage Late Night, only on SportsGrid.
What is the ceiling for this kid? Now that he's got the money, and we saw something click with him, what is the ceiling for a Jordan Love in this Green Bay team?
Deepest pass target group in the National Football League, 2 stud tight ends. They're a legit 5 deep at receiver, 7 bona fide pass targets deal. Come on, man. This guy could be a stud. Top 5 quarterback.
Game Time Decisions, only on SportsGrid.
Say the under has the correct juice to the 6.5 win total for the New York Giants. It's a losing season. It's a bad season in the greater New York area. Is Brian Daboll and is Joe Shane back next year?
As a Giants fan, what are you looking forward to? Absolutely nothing. You're hoping like the Yankees make a long enough run so you can forget about the Giants.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
If the U.S. gets to a bad start and they're down or close, I may double down on the second quarter because I know that that's when Steve Kerr is going to want to either A, if it's close, like, open it up. If they're losing, you got to get the lead because you don't want teams like it was in South Sudan to believe that they can win.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back in here. Game Time Decisions on a Friday here on the Sports Grid Network. I'm Joe Raineri, joined by Brad Thomas. Going to talk a little bit of Olympic soccer here as the women, Team USA, will have a chance at gold. But in the men's side today, boy, if you were holding a Spain ticket, Brad, there was sweat, like just sweating down here as the 2 best soccer countries in the world, really. Spain gave up a 3-1 lead, though. France came back, tied it up. What were you thinking during this game?
My heart was pounding out of my chest. And I didn't hedge to start the game because I thought Spain would be closer. Favorites, maybe favorites closer, but they ended up coming out like plus 140 and then money started coming in on them. So I was like, you know what? I'm not going to hedge. I really did think that this France side, much more talented, but with Thierry Henry being the coach, they weren't properly coached. Every team that they've played, basically, they were just bigger, faster, and stronger than. But when you have a team like Spain who's well coached and a lot of really good talent, that kind of wins out. But when they went down 1-0, I was like, oh God, I should have hedged. But then when Spain went up 3-1, they were France was plus 500 to win the gold. So I did put a very small wager just so I could break even or win. Spain ultimately goes up 3-1, gives it away. And I was like, here we go. It looked like the Federation sent in a little message to the referees and said, hey, we need France to win this gold. Do what you got to do. And they awarded them a PK. I knew the writing was on the wall. I go, it's rigged. It's all rigged. I hate gambling. I quit. Ultimately, Spain won, and I was jumping up and down with joy.
You got to be, listen, the future looks ridiculous for these 2 countries, right? I mean, this was the under 23, but I think it's only the second time it's happened. I think France did it where you win the Euros and the Olympic gold. Spain just did it now. Is there anybody whose future looks brighter in soccer on the world stage than these two teams?
Absolutely not. And what's funny about this Spanish side is they have the best U23 player in the world. And he didn't even play in this tournament because he was busy winning the Euro 2024 and Lamine Yamal. And I thought that was spectacular. The 16-year-old was too tired, had too much tread on his tires to come for this, and they still win. And it's funny, right? Like Danny Olmo plays for the senior team, and then once Danny Olmo gets a little long in the tooth, they're just going to replace him with Fermin Lopez, who had a brace in the gold medal match. Like, it's just so unfair. They are so stacked, and their future is super bright.
Yeah, unlike Team USA. But that's a whole other story. Not on the women's side, Brad. Not on the women's side here, as they have, one more hurdle, really, to get gold here. It's Brazil. It's the United States women's team. It should be phenomenal on Saturday. You thinking low scoring, high scoring? What do you think we're going to get in this one?
Before today's final in the men's side, I would have said it's low scoring because typically in gold medal matches, they're low scoring. Teams are kind of feeling each other out. But I'm still going to stick with that, but I'm not as excited for an underplay as I was before because the number's already at 2.25. It's not like we're getting that extra quarter to kind of get that half push, half win situation. But I'll say this. I've been monitoring this line for quite some time, and money is coming in quickly on the United States. And I was not shocked, obviously, because it's United States with United States books, but it's starting to get to a point where if money keeps coming on the United States, you have to take Brazil on the plus a half. Even though I think United States win this in regulation, it's not always about predicting the winner. It's about finding the value, because if you take value more times than not in soccer, you're going to win long term.
It's so hard to I mean, both of these teams, didn't they play earlier too? Some version of these teams play earlier, I think, this year. But the future has got to be so bright again for Team USA and Team Brazil. Makes the upcoming big stage in the World Cup going to be very, very interesting. But who gets it done for Team USA in this one? Feels like another Trinity game.
It's funny because this is the last ride for Marta, right? Brazilian, six-time player of the year. But this United States team is the better team. Brilliant run for Brazil to get to the gold medal match. But I like Sophia Smith to carry this team. She's going to score a goal. Look for those odds. They're like plus 225. She's going to score in regulation this time, not get the game winner in extra time. And the United States is going to win this one outright.
Are you worried? Do tired legs come into this at all for you, Brad? I mean, it's been these last couple of games for Team USA has been, a lot of extra time, a lot of, between Japan and then Germany. Like, are we worried that maybe it's starting to wear on them a little bit? It's a lot of soccer in a very short period of time.
A little bit, but I'm not ultra concerned because it wasn't like the United States was chasing a game. It's more concerning if the United States had been down and they were going to have to battle back to grind out. But it's pretty much the same scenario for both of these teams. They're still playing domestically, and the ones who play on the other side of the pond, they had these really long seasons. Then they had their Champions League. So all of these players have really tired legs. The bonus for the United States is this team is fairly young. It's the changing of the guard. We had the old dominant team. Well, most of those players are gone. So now it's the younger players. So they're young enough where they shouldn't be feeling it too much.
Both teams to score?
I'd probably need like plus 110. Wow, that's the exact price. I didn't do that on purpose.
That's the price. Yeah, I was going to say, well done, Brad.
I would probably take it at plus 110. I just feel like it's Marta's last game, right? And I feel like Marta's going to score in her last game. And when I was thinking about her odds, I was imagining the books would set it at like plus 350, plus 325. It was like plus 265, which means the books are, I think she's more likely to score than I do. It just would be such a Cinderella storybooks like story to have Marta score in her final Olympics ever.
Will she start? Do you think they'll start her?
Yeah, she's going to start. She served her 2-match suspension.
Okay.
She's going to be starting and ready to go. And also, I didn't say this. This is going to be really exciting. Marta plays for the Pride down in Orlando. A lot of the teammates of hers on the United States team play for the Pride. So it's going to be her playing against the people she plays with, hangs out with. It's going to be pretty cool.
And you give the edge to goaltending to who here in this one?
Oh, that's a tough. Probably United States. It's tough too because I think Brazil's just going to see more shots.
I think, yeah. Right? They're just going to control complete time of possession, and it's going. So, Trinity Rodman, who gets the anytime goal here for Team USA? Do we get 2 goals, maybe? Sophia Smith, who are we going with?
I went with Sophia Smith, but I think I said if Trinity was at plus 300, I would take her on my podcast.
Ooh.
And she came out at plus 295. So I'm sure in other shops you can find plus 300. It's just hard when you have 2 forwards in Sophia Smith and Trinity Rodman, both who are in form, have such big numbers and they're the favorites because you have to take one of them, if not both, because if there's a goal, you'd imagine it's coming from one of the 2.
And Mallory Swanson, too, same number, somewhere around there, plus 400.
I think Mallory's a little short. She's at plus 220.
Wow.
Yeah.
So if it's a blowout, we're leading Team USA here.
Yeah, I think Brazil just climbed 3 massive mountains? Like Brazil to replicate their success of what they've done 3 games in a row, the chances are slim to none. United States hasn't played their best football since they played Germany in the group stages, so they're bound to break open and have a really massive game.
Yeah, I'm with you, man. It feels like there's going to be a ton of shots on goal. They're going to be setting it up, and but you know what? The soccer guards are real weird with Marta and this, you know what I mean? It would not shock us all. Are we getting any time goal for Marta? What are we thinking?
I think we have to take it, right? Like that's one of those bets. It's like baseball when you get Aaron Judge at plus 250 or higher. Marta scoring in her final Olympics ever. I don't care who it's against. You have to take it, whether it hits or not. You want to be on the ticket if it does.
I don't want to not have the ticket if it hits, and then I'll never forgive myself at that point, Brad. So that's the problem. There's no way I want that happening. Unbelievable there. Should be a heck of a gold final there. Brad Thomas, we appreciate it, my man. Enjoy the game. Game Time Decisions will be back after this here on the grid.
Hopefully they learned their lesson. Hey, this ain't the NBA, bro. You don't have 6 fouls, and they will check you on this stuff. And Brooks has a reputation coming into this. You can tell the refs are watching them, and they were on him all the time.
This was 10, 12 years ago. Canada playing Greece with that type of lead that they had. They probably would have mentally crumbled and lost that game to Greece by 3 or 4 points in the final minute of that ball game.
Sports Rage Late Night, only on SportsGrid.
What is the ceiling for this kid? Now that he's got the money, and we saw something click with him, what is the ceiling for a Jordan Love in this Green Bay team?
Deepest pass target group in the National Football League. 2 stud tight ends. They're a legit 5 deep at receivers. 7 bona fide pass targets deal. Come on, man. This guy could be a stud. Top 5 quarterback.
Game Time Decisions, only on SportsGrid.
Say the under has the correct juice to the 6.5 win total for the New York Giants. It's a losing season. It's a bad season in the greater New York area. Is Brian Daboll and is Joe Shane back next year?
As a Giants fan, what are you looking forward to? Absolutely nothing. You're hoping like the Yankees make a long enough run so you can forget about the Giants.
The early line, only on SportsGrid.
If the U.S. gets to a bad start and they're down or close, I may double down on the second quarter because I know that that's when Steve Kerr is going to want to either A, if it's close, open it up. If they're losing, you got to get the lead because you don't want teams like it was in South Sudan that believe that they can win.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome in Game Time Decisions here on the SportsGrid Network. Happy Friday to you. We certainly hope it's been a profitable week, but we got plenty going on here tonight, whether it be Major League Baseball or a little preseason action in the NFL. And who doesn't love a little preseason football in Pittsburgh? I know somebody who does. Dave Sherpan absolutely loves himself some Steelers. They're running pretty well right now. They're down 7-0 against the Texans, but we got to see Fields. We got to see Freiermuth. We got to see Pickens. So the starters for both teams played the first series. Stroud got a touchdown, but you got to love it. It's good to have football back in Pittsburgh here, Dave, watching it.
Yeah, that's good. I'm glad you're watching it because I'm not, Joe. You know this. This is
Steelers.
The least biggest
There's towels everywhere.
Joe, this is the least biggest secret you know going. After spending years and years in the books, decades, you know the bane of my existence is preseason football. I hated booking it. I hated watching it. I don't mind betting on it. Now, there are people that love it, people that you and I both know, friends of ours in the space. It's a quote-unquote, wise guy market, and I don't take much from it, especially the first game. So, contrary to your belief, I'm not watching it. I have on right now Padres and Marlins waiting for a run to be scored, and it hasn't happened yet. Hottest team in baseball, the San Diego Padres. This is really interesting. Trying to figure out the pieces of the puzzle of the National League playoff picture is the way I'm spending my August. So you enjoy the preseason football, and I will be interested to hear more about it later. I will watch do you watch the coach's camera? And do you watch the games ever? Like, the only way to watch them is after the fact in those, let's show a play. You get through a game in 30 minutes. It's much better that way.
Correct. Yes, the answer, they give it to you there. And, look at the Steelers about to punch it in, but you wouldn't know that, Dave, because you're not watching it. I will say this here. I'm looking, Allen is in right now. It was good to see Fields. Looked pretty good. I'm hearing great things out of camp about him. And listen, I'm not going to watch teams I don't care about in the preseason, but I'll probably watch more preseason Jet football than regular season football, given the fact that in all likelihood, something disastrous will happen by the second game. And then there's really no need to watch the Jets anymore. So I try to get as much in early. And by the way, they are saying Aaron Rodgers will see the preseason field here and will, in fact, make an appearance in a game or two there. So I'm just saying, I still rooting for Pittsburgh Steeler football and Pirates playoff baseball. Can we
see? Now we're talking. Nighttime in Pittsburgh behind me. I've been on a hell of a run all week.
Thank you.
What to wear. It's a big thing. There were guys taking bets on what I was going to wear today at Bet Bash. So it's really interesting.
Okay.
People are trying to decide, does he like this team? Does he not like this team? Is it a fade? Is it a follow? What do I do? So this week, I've been perfect on whatever I'm wearing. The team loses. So I went with the upside down LA, which apparently the kids think is cool. So you always want to be cool and the kids know everything. So they said, get that upside down LA hat and wear the Dodger stuff tonight to maybe help the Pirates. Because Pirates are big dogs. This is a big road trip for the Pirates. And we'll be on In-Game Live leading up to this Pirates Dodgers. Today, Keller, tomorrow, Skeens, and then who knows what. But it was a rough series against the Padres this week. Just blew a couple games. And before that, it was the Diamondbacks losing 2 of 3, losing 3 of 3. Not good. So it might be officially football season in Pittsburgh after this road trip. I don't want to say it out loud because they haven't been relevant into August in a while. And they're still relevant.
Right.
The Pirates are still relevant as a baseball guy, right?
Yep. They're all still relevant. People forget, Dave, how much baseball we really have left here. There is still plenty of baseball to be played here and a lot still to be decided. So, especially in that National League there, where you've got what? If it ended today, I think it's the Padres, Arizona, and the Mets.
Correct.
That would leave Arizona would leave Atlanta out of the playoffs for the first time since 2017, Dave. But St. Louis, Pittsburgh 4.5, San Francisco, all of that is still to be decided. And I think a lot of these teams play one another over the next couple of weeks too. So it is, if you love urgency, then the next couple of weeks in Major League Baseball, it's going to get pretty urgent pretty quickly. And the Dodgers all of a sudden have to win games this time of year they thought maybe they wouldn't have to.
Dodgers could be caught in the division. It's actually a real thing now if the Padres continue to do what they're doing and catch the Dodgers. I mean, the realistic possibility of the Padres being the National League West champ and the Dodgers having to go through the wild card is getting very real. So that's the dichotomy that a lot of guys in the book will have. Do you want to watch football with guys that are in the uniform, but most likely won't impact the actual regular season play? Or would you rather watch high leverage baseball that will help determine what the World Series is going to look like?
I agree.
And I gravitate toward games that mean something as we get closer to the end. You've put in all this work as a baseball guy and a baseball bettor. April, May, June, July. You've had your teeth kicked in. You've taken gut punches. Bullpens have blown games, and you're still here. And then you bail for meaningless football instead of staying focused on the hard part. So I love it. I love this. I love this month of baseball as we lead into September. But then you get games like the Cubs and the White Sox tonight, where you look at it and you go, how do you even make a favorite on this game? What the hell do you bet on a total? The White Sox blew up the whole staff after the trip from Oakland, and they won't let Crochet pitch more than one time through the order. So I think there's storylines every day in the baseball, and you can find it.
If you spent this much time following it, follow it through. We'll do that when Game Time Decisions gets back.
Hopefully they learned their lesson. Hey, this ain't the NBA, bro. You don't have 6 fouls, and they will check you on this stuff. And Brooks has a reputation coming into this. You can tell the refs are watching them, and they were on him all the time.
This was 10, 12 years ago. Canada playing Greece with that type of lead that they had. They probably would have mentally crumbled and lost that game to Greece by 3 or 4 points in the final minute of that ball game.
Sports Rage Late Night, only on SportsGrid.
What is the ceiling for this kid? Now that he's got the money, and we saw something click with him, what is the ceiling for a Jordan Love in this Green Bay team?
Deepest pass target group in the National Football League. 2 stud tight ends. They're a legit 5 deep at receiver. 7 bona fide pass targets, Gio. Come on, man. This guy could be a stud. Top 5 quarterback.
Game Time Decisions, only on SportsGrid.
Say the under has the correct juice to the 6.5 win total for the New York Giants. It's a losing season. It's a bad season in the greater New York area. Is Brian Daboll and is Joe Shane back next year?
As a Giants fan, what are you looking forward to? Absolutely nothing. You're hoping like the Yankees make a long enough run so you can forget about the Giants.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
If the U.S. gets to a bad start and they're down or close, I may double down on the second quarter because I know that that's when Steve Kerr is going to want to either A, if it's close, open it up. If they're losing, you got to get the lead because you don't want teams like it was in South Sudan that believe that they can win.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back in here. Game Time Decisions coming up here in just a couple of minutes. In-game live prime time, and Dave Sherapan will be with you, and they will make sure that you guys have everything you need to know on a full Major League Baseball slate here, including 3 preseason football games. The other game of the night here, Dave, is Arizona and Philadelphia. I don't love the spot for Philly. I don't love Ren Nelson, although he's pitched better. How much faith do you have that the Phillies go to Arizona and beat the hottest team in the National League right now?
Well, they did it last night, and you get Wheeler at a short price. And again, this happened in Seattle, and Wheeler went and threw an absolute gem.
Yeah,
Expect
good point.
Wheeler to do it again. But the bullpen is still quite an issue. So this feels like more of a Phillies first 5 play to me right now. Expect them to get a run or 2 across against Nelson. Wheeler to get them to the 5th, ahead, at worst tied, and then all bets are off. The Diamondbacks are the scariest team in the National League right now. They're the scariest team.
I agree.
They're finding ways to win. It felt like the Phillies had them the whole game last night, and then it started to get interesting again late. I feel like the Diamondbacks are that team that momentum's starting to build again, and nobody's talking about them. I just you see what's going on. So that is the game. I was going to mention the Mets and the Mariners. I thought that was a really interesting game too, because the Mariners have caught Houston. They're finding ways to win games again, and the Mets aren't going away. So you see a game like that with the pick 'em number, and you go, okay, wow. So there's a late move to Seattle. I just clicked my odds board refresh. Makes sense, but I'm not in love with that either. That game's going under is probably the better play.
I am with you there all day. Phillies had to use 4 of their high leverage guys out of the bullpen. They're going to need Wheeler to come through here tonight because they used the bullpen a lot last night to win that first game here. So, do you have any faith in the Braves in Colorado? I do not.
I don't know what. I don't. Like that's one of those ones that that price seems so inflated. And I went, now listen, I know Colorado's one of the worst teams in baseball, but it says Holmes and Gordon, and it's not Josh Gordon, it's not Tom Gordon. What? It's too high. It's just too high.
Agree.
I don't have faith in them at all. The game I wanted to ask you about before I go do the show with Wetzel was Cleveland and Minnesota. I got a couple guys, the Shrew, the Bomber, they're all watching the show. They said to please tell Raineri we said hello. They're out in Vegas. They're Cleveland Guardian guys, and they wanted to bet Cleveland. And I told them, guys, hold on. It's that first start for Cobb. Expect him to pitch well, but do you want to go against Minnesota in this spot?
6 in a row for the Guardians. They've lost now. They are hemorrhaging. And Varland is a electric young pitcher if he knows where the ball's going. That's the problem. That's a big if. But the Guardians got to put it together. I always like to bet I always like to bet for a split. And since the Twins won game 1, I would lean Guardians. But you're asking a lot of Cobb to come in here and all of a sudden pick up the slack. So in Minnesota, not good. Get out of here. You and Mr. Opposite Picks coming up. They just went back-to-back solo home runs, by the way, for the Marlins. So things are working out well for the Padres. Get out of here, Sherapan. We'll see you over the weekend. That's it, Dave. We'll be here with Scotty Wetzel for In the Game Live primetime coming up here in just a couple of minutes. In the meantime, again, back-to-back solo jacks for Miami. They are up 2-0 as the Padres are making Cabrera look like Blake Snell. It's kind of ridiculous here at this point. Also, Red Sox 2-1 over the Astros. Athletics and the Blue Jays knotted up at 1 apiece. Orioles clinging to a 1-0 lead over the Rays, and the Angels still up 2-1 over the Nats. Plenty of games still to come here, including the Cardinals and the Royals. You heard us talk in game 2 of the Guardians and Twins. Don't forget the Reds and the Brewers should be a fantastic one, and a game anybody will admit to watching tonight, but you know you will. The White Sox at home taking on the Cubs. Tyon versus Crochet. Let's go Cubs. Keeping an eye, by the way, 10-3 Falcons over the Dolphins early in preseason football. Enjoy tonight in Game Live. Prime time is next. We'll see you again tomorrow here on the Grid.